Thanks to those showing us live and those who have joined us on the archive. The style here, being joined by the one and the only Lyndon here from Boxing Deep Dive. He's still the one. I still haven't had a Lyndon on the show. Like, it still hasn't happened. So,
Great to be here, mate, as always.
For sure. Look, obviously, we're going to get to the main topic of discussion was the 154-pound division, in particular, Lubin and obviously getting beat by Vergil Ortiz, and then, of course, Ortiz and Boots being teased. They're teasing us with it, right? Some other stuff, like I don't know how much is impacting Australia, but I know DAZN is coming up with a second premiere, whatever the hell they're calling it, tier. If you want to get up to minimum, they say 12 pay-per-views a year, right? To be included with your subscription, they say. So a lot to talk about with that. I don't know. I have a lot to say about that. But before we get to that, there was this card in Australia during the week. Some good stuff. I saw a really good knockout, by the way, on that card. Probably should be considered for knockout of the year. I don't know if it'll be considered by the big outlets because it was like just this card in Australia, but the aesthetics of it looked brutal. There was a fight that, if I'm honest, and it's to her credit, right? When Jazzy Parr fights, it gets attention, right? Like it's people pay attention, and that's not a bad thing, right? So, and I'm guessing it's probably because of her dad, right? I mean, that's kind of, there's a lineage with her, the mom. So Jazzy, the Parr name carries weight in Australia, and things didn't go her way. I thought it was a good fight, Lyndon. And I remember months ago when or I don't know if it was months ago, but when that fight was announced, I don't know if you and I did a show about it, but I remember thinking to myself, what is No Limit doing? Like, now this is the fight we want. Like, these are the types of fights you should be putting on No Limit. Like, you give us those two other fights that nobody wanted to see, and then this one's a good fight, and then it appears like they just dropped Jazzy Parr. I'm like, why didn't they just get rid of her? And then now she was on this card against this girl Solomon, and fighting from Australia. I believe she's of Egyptian heritage.
Yeah.
I did contact her. I'll be having her on next week, so that should be an interesting interview. But what do you think about where Jazzy Parr is right now, Lyndon, after this defeat? She did get stopped. There's some positives to take from the fight, but there's a lot of negatives as well. And what was she saying? Like, I still don't know what she was saying to her opponent. It looked like, I'm not saying this is what she did, but it looked like she was scolding her opponent, like that's how the optics of it. And it just didn't look good. I'll just put it that way.
Nah, well, it did look like she was saying to Maya Solomon, how dare you beat me? Don't you realize that I'm the princess and I'm the A side and I'm supposed to win this? That's what it looked like to me. But she did go in, I think, for a hug or something, and Jazzy Parr sort of said no, thank you. But look, it was a good fight. The knockout you're talking about, by the way, was Andrew Hunt over Monty Afathi. If you haven't seen it, guys, check it out. It's either on social media or YouTube. I think it'll be the knockout, not just of 2025, but also of 2026. An amazing knockout. But yeah, look, Jazzy Parr, look, she's got all the talent in the world, but if I'm being completely honest, her attitude sucks. And it's the only way I can probably describe it the best, because I think she's talented. She's got some great pedigree. Of course, her dad, I think 10 or 12-time world champion or something in Muay Thai. Her mum was apparently a world champion as well in Muay Thai. So she knows her way around. I've just got a feeling, I think I said this to the other day, I just don't think she's heard the word no a lot in her life. Let's just put it that way. And I just think her whole thing is she's been built up as this little superstar, and it's always how great she is, hence the nickname Princess. And I just think she has to realize this is not Muay Thai. This is not the start of her boxing career where she was just being fed ties and all these lesser light, these girls that she was sort of feasting on, I suppose. So I just think she has to change the adjustment and realize that boxing is a tough sport. She has to do her or pay her dues in the sport. No one's going to just hand her anything. And it's a tough one. And these girls aren't just going to lie down and let her, beat her all the time. And Maya Solomon is a tough girl. And the shame in the whole thing is I thought Jazzy Parr was probably the best I've seen her in any of her fights. I thought she out Maya Solomon for 6 rounds. I really did. And I thought she was on the way to a really good win. And then, of course, like good fighters do, Maya Solomon turned it around, got the shots in, put her down and stopped the fight. And that's what good fighters do. So, but I wasn't impressed with her afterwards, D-Style. I just thought she was she acted like a spoiled little brat. And I just hope that have a talk to her and say, Jazzy, this is not the way you conduct yourself, because I just thought it was not in the spirit of the game. And I think the one thing we love about boxing is that no matter what the lead up to the fight is, afterwards there's the mutual respect between both fighters. They hug it out, they shake hands, whatever it might be. She just doesn't give her opponents that respect, and she did it with Shannon O'Connell as well. I'm sure you'll bring that up. And she just needs to be a little bit more humble, in my opinion, if she's going to go further in the sport. And let's not forget, though, she's 22 years of age, maybe a little bit immature, so maybe she'll learn from these types of fights.
The only thing I'll say about the O'Connell fight that I found intriguing was O'Connell won, and the only one that got interviewed after the fight was Jazzy Parr.
Is that right? I don't remember that.
And she ranted on, and then she just kept bringing up how she's old. Like I was waiting for her to get tired because she's old. Like it's like, why would you even say that? Like, how dare this old lady go the distance with me? She's old. Like, what is she doing here? Like, that's just the way it appeared to me. I don't know, but in this fight in particular, like there was no bad blood that I know of. Like there was nothing like that. Her opponent was being gracious, went up to hug her, and again, I keep using the word optics because look, she could have said, "Hey, great fight," for all I know, right? Like maybe that's all she said. So I'll ask her opponent next week what she said, if she even remembers. But the optics, and no offense to the women out there watching, but when women have an attitude, like it stands out. Like it kind of
it's hard to hide.
Yeah, there's a little more like it's just it's that stereotype when they're snapping their fingers, but obviously has gloves on. But that's just how I don't think she had gloves on anymore. But anyway, that's like the optics of it, But I will say this: it doesn't necessarily mean she's not going to be successful in boxing. One of my favorite, and I brought this up to you, one of my favorite fighters of all time is Juan Manuel Marquez, and he's one of the worst losers ever. Like Juan Manuel Marquez would have a razor close fight, right? It wouldn't go his way. He would storm out of the ring in protest, like it was the worst decision ever, right? I mean, he didn't want to get interviewed by HBO. I mean, like Max Kellerman had to barge in there, and he like it looked like he was throwing a sissy fit, and he had his he was only covered by a sombrero while he was getting interviewed in the fight, right? And then the whole time he's like, I win every round I win. Like I don't know if you won every round, but that's how he is. It's a bad loser, right? And I just think that's how some fighters are. Like that's just how they are. I just think Jazzy Parr doesn't like losing. It's just that competitive nature, if you want to call it. But I think there's a better way to handle it. Like I don't think Marquez is a good example.
No, I mean, no one likes to lose. Of course they don't. I've never met any fighter that's ever said they don't mind losing, but it's just the way you go about it. And I think, and you're right with Juan Manuel Marquez. And look, but sometimes this is what makes the fighters who they are. It's what makes them great. This drive and this refusal to lose and this unacceptance they have that how could I possibly lose? And if I did, then it's an injustice. And that's probably what made Marquez a great fighter. But with someone like Jazzy Parr, I think it's more down that she needs an attitude adjustment. That's about it. She needs to be a little bit more humble, and even if she feels that way, just to maybe train herself internally to say, well, let's just bite the lip and do what we've got to do, and then we can have a whinge and a cry, whatever it is, out in the change room. But while we're in the ring, we're going to act professional, and it just doesn't do her image any good at all. She's trying to get a fan base, and fight fans, as you know, the worst thing that you can do in the boxing world is be an ungrateful loser. It's the quickest way to lose respect amongst all the boxing fans, and she just needs to check herself a little bit. And But she's 22 years of age, as I said. She's got plenty of time in the sport. I was surprised that she said, "I'm not done yet. I'll be back." Well, you're 22 years of age. Of course you'll be back.
Man.
She could have another 20 or 30 fights before she has that type of attitude of, I'll be back sort of thing. But
Wow. Man. That means she thought about it, in my opinion. That's a lot revealed right there. But
she lost in 10 fights at 22 years of age, and that's this. But this is the mentality that is in these fighters these days. As you know, it's the Floyd Mayweather effect. If you lose a fight, you've got to reassess where you're at. This is where the UFC's probably got it over boxing, is that, it's just a loss. We move on to the next one, try and get redemption, or we whatever. But in boxing, it's like, geez, now I've got to really look at where I am in the sport, because, geez, heaven forbid I've actually lost a fight. This is the one thing about boxing we need to get out of.
The thing, it's going to be a mental battle for her. It's not, she's young, she could overcome it. And the reason I'm saying that is because the 2 times she looked her best, she lost, right? Now I believe in cause and effect. The reason she looked good, because she had to. She was facing much better opposition, right? Those gimme fights, we don't really see much of you. Like, you're going to dominate and that's it, and you don't need to show much. But in those 2 fights, she came up short. And I think in those 2 fights, she expected to win. It didn't go her way. In one fight, I think she took it because she thought Chan O'Connor was just too old and she was done. I think that's why they took it. And when she found out she wasn't, I think there's a reason they didn't accept the rematch. And then, of course, this fight, I commend her for taking these fights, but she was looking really good in the fight, and then it just unraveled just like that. And that's how it happens in boxing. You could be in complete control, and then boom, like it all unravels. And
I think she does need a different trainer as well. I mean, Paul Briggs, we all admire him. He had those wars with Adamak back in the day, but I mean, you watch the fight. I mean, I don't think she looked to set up one punch. It was just come forward and just throw punches and just rock 'em, sock 'em type of boxing. And if she doesn't improve that, she's going to be in a little bit of trouble when she goes up against more of the Maya Solomon type of fighters, because she does not set up a punch. You watch her fight.
I'm surprised though. Like, she comes from a Muay Thai background, and I was hearing her. I believe it was her cornerman yelling, "Wrap her up, hold her." I thought I heard that when she was hurt and dropped, but something tells me that maybe she was just out of it. I just think she was.
I think
out.
she was. Yeah, I think she was. I don't think it was. Yeah, I think her style is flawed a little bit, but I think in that instance she was obviously she was a little bit rocked when she got dropped. Didn't really know how to hold on or clinch or anything like that, which sometimes when you get in these type of fights, you sort of don't realize the things that you haven't really concentrated on in training. You're doing all your combinations and footwork and all the rest of it. And when a situation comes up where your fighter's hurt, she had no idea how to clinch or hold or whatever. And I just think she got exposed a little bit. But as I said, like, you watch that fight, no head movement, no setting up the punches with a jab or anything like that. It was just come forward and just throw 3s and 4s and 5s. And I just think in Muay Thai, because especially on the back foot, and a lot of the defensive and setups are done with the legs. So I just don't think there's been anything done with her hands or a head movement or anything like that. But she's had 10 fights in boxing. That's why she's got plenty of time. She just has to realize that herself, that she has got plenty of time, and don't just expect to think, well, hang on, I wiped out all those lesser lights they put me with early in my career. Why aren't these girls doing the same thing? She has to learn from it and have an open mind and look to improve and not blame every other factor for her losses. That's what her first point of call should be. Until she does that, the same thing is going to keep happening.
Absolutely. Now, to her credit, her posts on Instagram and social media, I guess after she reflects and thinks, are always kind of humble and like, you know what I mean? But they're going to judge you about what happens right after. Now, just to give a quick, I know Mariah Turner. Is that how you pronounce it?
Mariah Turner. Yep.
Mariah. I know she won her fight. That was actually a really good fight.
Good little
I thought
fighter.
she clearly won.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was a good fight, and she's been in quite a winning streak, and I think this should put her like in contention for the IBF title in that weight class. So, and Solomon, same thing. So, like, those two will potentially be getting title shots pretty soon. So we look forward to see what happens there. One more thing, we see on Australia. Speaking of No Limit, I know I mentioned them earlier, but Do you think though or I mean, I don't know. Like we're just guessing here, but did No Limit drop Jazzy?
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about that. I've got a feeling Sam LeBrun is the one that promoted this fight night, and
Right.
and if I was No Limit, I'd be sort of hanging my head in shame a little bit with some of the fights that Sam LeBrun was able to put together on this fight night. They are all fights that should have been on No Limit cards. Maybe not the main fight with Camille Bella and Victor. Sorry, what's his name? Sergey Vorobov, his name was. But the two female fights on the card and the Monir Fathi and Andrew Hunt fight, they should have all been on main event cards. Three really good all Aussie fights that a lot of people were looking forward to. And they're on a platform, even though it was on DAZN, which is great for all you guys over there being able to watch it. Maybe No Limit should learn something about that as well. But those three fights should have been on big No Limit cards. The Tim Tszyu cards and the Nikita Tszyu cards, whoever, Liam Paro, they should have been on their cards. And they fill their cards with really fights that, okay, the A side's okay, but some of the B sides are deplorable. And then you've got someone on a lower budget show in Melbourne, a little club show. Well, it wasn't a little club show. I had about 12 or 1,300 there. It was a really good atmosphere there. You would have seen it on the screen, but it's an injustice that, well, on No Limit's behalf, that Sam LeBrun has been able to put those fights together, and the biggest promoter in Australia with all the resources, with all the money and backing and sponsorship, you name it, hasn't been able to put those fights on their card. So No Limit should have looked at that and said, well, this is what we need to do. But unfortunately, the cards just continue to drop in quality at the moment, No Limit.
Well, it seems to me they may have loaned like Jazzy out to do this fight.
And it does happen. Yeah.
I just found it interesting. And usually when like a big promotional company, like let's say Top Rank or anybody else, really Matchroom, has a No Limit fighter on their cards, like they'll still put on their No Limit pages, right? They'll still talk about that fight, etc. No mention of Jazzy Bar.
No.
None.
Well, they did the same with Sam Goodman, though. He fought in where was that, Saudi Arabia, and not barely a mention on the No Limit page. And apparently he's part of their stable and not a mention. Now, I understand that you're right. Promotional firms do sort of loan out or give fighters an opportunity to fight on other cards, and that's fine. But that Maya Solomon fight with Jazzy Parr, what they should, No Limit should have been saying is, no. You don't put that fight on your card. We're going to put it on our card. They've got a couple coming up. Of course, the big Tszyu and Zerafa fight coming up. There's rumors that Tim Tszyu will be back in a month's time. They should have said, no. That fight goes on our card. Our fighter is the A side. She goes, that Maya Solomon fight goes on a No Limit card. So the fact that they allowed that to happen on a Sam LeBrun card, if that was the case, I just don't know what they're trying to do with Australian boxing. They've got this platform in Australia called No Limit on Fox. It's on Foxtel, our main pay-per-view sort of channel. And I think they have up to 6 or 7 shows per year, which is designed to be those type of shows. And instead they just load it with all these C and D level grade fights. And then they allow a fight like that to go to another promoter's card. It just staggers me, mate. It's amateur hour, if you ask me.
I mean, you invest all this in Jazzy, and then you let this smaller promoter do the better fight. I just, it made no sense to me. But speaking of No Limit, and you know, we would talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly here. So there's some good that they've been doing. So one of the good things is the Nikita. Like, I was very surprised that Nikita Tszyu versus Zerafa was announced. I thought they would wait like another year, but they're not going to make us wait that long. So it's on. It's on, and I think once I saw them on the stage, and obviously we don't, you know, anything could happen, obviously, but it looks like the fight's going to happen unless someone gets injured or something like that. But I got to say that this is it's a gamble by No Limit. Like, things could go south, and if Zerafa beats Nikita, which is, I'm sure, is not what they want, and it's okay to admit that if they're them, right? Their money ticket is definitely Nikita, and if Zerafa wins, they're probably going to be like, damn, right? But credit to them for making
damn is what they'll say.
Yeah, like, damn it, like, this guy just costs a lot of money, right? But but I like the fight though, and at the end of the day, at some point you got to step up. Like, at some point you got to, and beating Zerafa doesn't mean that Nikita made it either, you know, but at least it's that step up. It's a step up to the next level. But I got to tell you, there's been some, let's call them red flags with Nikita in some of his fights. Now he's exciting to watch, and you never watch a boring Nikita fight, and that's a positive thing about him. But he definitely looks like a vulnerable fighter. He hasn't gotten a lot of rounds in. Zerafa's been, a little more active. He's a veteran. I mean, if he doesn't take Zerafa out in 1 or 2 rounds, I have a feeling this is going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I think it's a great fight firstly to put on. I've got a feeling it's a fight that No Limit didn't really want to put on, but they didn't really have a choice, because I think in an ideal world, you'd have Tim Tszyu sort of cruising on one side of the freeway, and then you'd have Nikita Tszyu on the other lane of the freeway, all just powering ahead and having these big pay-per-views, and Liam Paro doing big things and everything else. I've just got a feeling that with what's happening with Tim at the moment, we don't know. Like, when he comes back, don't get me wrong, that'll be massive here in Australia. Probably won't cause much of a ripple over there, but it'll be the biggest news ever over here. But I've got a feeling with what's going on with Tim, No Limit they need something to go their way. They need to land a big fish, I suppose, and this is a fight. So I've got a feeling that Nikita Tszyu and his team maybe not have wanted this fight, and probably the same as Michael Zerafa. But I've got a feeling that No Limit have gone to these guys and said, "Hey, we need something big at the moment with what's happened in the last couple of years with Tim. The massive cash cow has been, on the receiving end of." Yeah, good call there, Timmy. You're 100% right, by the way. But I just think that's a good call too. Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I just think in a perfect world for No Limit, they wouldn't have put this fight on yet. They would have been maybe holding out for maybe Tim, because you get the impression that listening to Nikita and Michael, neither one of them are really that enthused about the fight. If you ask me, you listen to Michael Zerafa get interviewed, he's like, "Oh yeah, well, I got no beef with this guy." I mean, you look at that press conference, very, very low key and subdued by Michael Zerafa, and I think he was on the lines of, "Yeah, all right, I'll fight this guy. I got no beef with you." Nikita's like, "Yeah, well, whatever. I'll fight him. I don't really care. I'll fight whoever they put in front of me." And I just think that it's been a manufactured type of feud. They keep going on about this whole Tszyu versus Zerafa thing. Everyone's a little bit over it. Everyone's a little bit sick of it. I know you guys over there, as I said, would barely gain a ripple over there, this fight, but it's going to be big-ish sort of news over here. But yeah, I've just got a feeling it's been forced upon everyone, and I hope it delivers. I really do. My opinion is that Nikita Tszyu can win this fight and will win the fight. I know all the data and I suppose gut feel of everyone points towards Michael Zerafa being the favorite, but I've just got a feeling that, and I've always said this, with Michael Zerafa, there's a big difference between fighting the best and being competitive against the best. And Michael Zerafa has been in there with Cal Brook and Peter Quillen and Erizan Lara and these types of guys. But the facts of the matter are he's barely won a round against any of those guys. So that's why I think Nikita Tszyu, you're right, he's been very vulnerable in a lot of his fights. But I just think if he's got someone as good as, say, Zerafa is in front of him, I think you'll see a guy who's switched on, composed, and because he's going to have to be. So my gut feeling says that Nikita Tszyu wins this fight, and I think he can win it by stoppage.
Yeah, Zerafa has more losses by knockout versus that level of opposition than he's won rounds, right? So, I'll put it that way. But it is still a step up for Nikita.
Oh, big step.
And obviously, because here's the thing, this is why it's a risky fight. Nikita could win this fight, but if it's controversial or he barely edges it out, or they look at the level, like they're both they belong in the ring with each other, as equals. That has to be what do you do at that point if you're No Limit, right? Because you already kind of know, you kind of, like you mentioned, right? Yes, Zerafa's fought some top opposition, but he always has fell completely short. Right. And if Nikita needs to look almost spectacular, or at least a couple levels above him, for them to keep selling to people that there's a future here at the world level with Nikita. Right. I still think Nikita could sell pay-per-views over there and tickets and as a domestic action fighter, but that's not what they want. That's not, that isn't what they want. So, Nando
No.
asked if Tim's previous team is training Nikita. I believe so, right? He's still with the
Yeah, Nikita's still the original team. Yeah, no, he hasn't done anything, Nikita. But the strange thing is, I think that in my opinion, the only way Zerafa wins the fight is by catching Nikita, and we all know this is why it's a fascinating thing, because we all know Nikita can be very, very vulnerable. I think the only way Michael Zerafa wins his fight is if he catches Nikita with a punch that rocks him and he finishes him off. I don't think he can outbox Nikita toe to toe. Mano a mano, as they say. I don't think he can do that. I think Nikita is far too skilled. I think his only way to win the fight is if he catches Nikita being careless. And that's why I think if Nikita is composed and compact and very methodical, I think he can make a pretty easy night out of it, if you ask me, because I think that's the only thing that Michael Zerafa's got to offer Nikita Tszyu. So we will see. But there is an interesting as well that for both guys, I mean, for Michael Zerafa beating Nikita Tszyu, does it really do anything for his career internationally? I don't think so. And probably the same as Nikita with Michael Zerafa, although Michael is ranked in the top 15 of all 4 organizations at middleweight, though. And Nikita's a 154 pounder. So look, I just think it's, as I said before, it's purely an instance of No Limit saying, guys, we need a favor. We need you guys to fight each other to give us a big fight, because with what's happening with Tim, there's not much on the horizon for No Limit.
Yeah, like Brock Jarvis was kind of in the mix, but like Keith Thurman kind of derailed that for a lot of guys. You know what I mean? You kind of say that should have been. Yeah. So, but I think Thurman just came in and stole anyone's thunder of using Jarvis as an opponent. You know, so
I
actually wouldn't mind.
Sorry, mate, go ahead.
Like, I mean, if Nikita could go in, like if Nikita goes in there and just destroys Michael Zerafa, just dominates him, knocks him out, then there's a real question about, hey, can Nikita be world level? Because he did what these world level guys did to Zerafa, right? That's going to be like my hope that he does that. I just don't think he's going to do that.
Well, yeah, I think he's capable of doing it. I could see that he could go out there and blow Michael Zerafa away. I really can. I think the longer the fight goes, probably it goes Michael Zerafa's way. It's only a 10-rounder too, by the way, not a 12-rounder. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fascinating fight. I just think, again, taking out the big punch that Michael Zerafa may land. He may land it, and it's always, a hypothetical. I just think of, man versus man. I just think Nikita Tszyu wins the fight pretty comfortably. I just think Michael's flawed in a lot of areas of his style. I think he leaves himself open. He has his chin in the air. His defense is not great. I don't think he has overly great movement. He's an interesting fighter, Michael, because domestic level has been so good. He's been at the top of the game for a long, long time, but then goes internationally and hasn't really fired a shot. So he's one of those fighters that always seems to be in limbo. He's too good for Australia, but not good enough for international. So he's one of those fighters that are just sort of in between. But we're going to see how good Nikita Tszyu is, and I think he can get the job done. But it's funny though, because I think even if he does get the job done and gets the job done impressively, I still don't think he's up to international level. Just my thoughts. And I love Nikita. I just don't think he's at that level, but we'll see.
Well, fighting Zerafa is a step in the right direction, and it's going to be interesting. I could only imagine if Zerafa pulls it off, right? I mean, I could only imagine like the comments on social media that we're going to be reading. I mean, the one thing I did want to ask you about was the whole, is the Mickey Haddon or whatever he was calling, is it really that controversial? Like when Nikita was talking about it, like I didn't believe him when he said like, oh, it's something very hurtful of our lives. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what are you that bothered by that? Like that to that degree? I don't know. Is it really that controversial? I mean,
I thought he was being a little bit precious, and I thought Tim was being a bit precious as well. And I suppose if no one knows about it, they were doing the face-off. This is when Tim was supposed to fight Michael, and we all know that Ricky Hatton retired Tim and Nikita's dad, Kostya, and Michael quipped that he was going to be Mickey Hatton that would retire Tim Tszyu. So look, I just thought it was, look, Michael's full of these one-liners. That's what's so good about him. And that's what I really love about him, by the way. I know I've said some negative things about him today, but overall, as far as what he brings it to the promotion, he's one of the best I've seen. Definitely in Australian boxing, maybe George Kambosos you'd throw in there as well. It's just been the masters of the build-up.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was a pretty smart little, one-liner from Michael. And I just thought Tim and then Nikita, we're probably just being a little bit precious. I think they should have almost laughed it off. And I mean, end of the day, I mean, he was having a bit of a joke and just shrug it off and move on. I think there was bigger things to worry about than a little one-liner from Michael calling himself Mickey Hatton. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous if you ask me.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was worth the whole, like, I don't know. It was just a bit much to me. It seemed forced, Like
And the Australian media too have always got their heads up their asses. They run with it, of course. Now it's always brought up at every single press conference they have as well.
He called himself Mickey Hatton. Oh my God! How can you?
Like the outrage.
I honestly didn't think it was that though. Well, when I was listening to like Nikita talk, I was waiting for like, well, so what did Zerafa say? Like, did he say some like messed up things about, their dad? Like, well, what did he say? Like, all he did was call himself Mickey Hatton. Like it's
and the Australian media, because again they're so inexperienced compared to the proper boxing writers around the world, they run with that. But then they've also run with the narrative from Michael Zerafa's behalf that if your viewers didn't know that Tim and Zerafa were supposed to fight in 2021 during COVID, and then Michael got some bad advice, pulled out of the fight. And they just keep bringing this up about, was Michael Zerafa scared of Tim Tszyu? Michael Zerafa was not scared of Tim Tszyu. Let's just put it out there and put an exclamation mark on it. Yeah. He got some bad advice from his team. He didn't take the fight. He pulled out because of all the COVID regulations and lockdowns and all this sort of stuff going on. He pulled out of the fight. I think it's the biggest regret he's ever had in his career, and I think he'll be the first to admit that. But to say that he was scared, I mean, even at the press conference, Nikita said something about he's been told that, they've got to lock the door so that Michael Zerafa won't run away and all this sort of stuff. I just think that just these narratives, they just continue to push. Let's just focus on these two guys and what they bring to the table and what a great fight it should be. And forget about all this petty crap they go on outside of it, because, I mean, boxing fans have just had enough. They just want to let them get in there and get it on. But as I said, mate, the Australian boxing media, fair dinkum. They fall down in a lot of areas.
Yeah, look, these fighters are not scared of each other. I mean, Jazzy Park just finished getting knocked out by the same girl. She ended up scolding like 2 minutes later. Like she got in her face and scolded her. Like, I mean, like she ain't scared. Like, it's like they're not scared of anybody. Yeah. At the end of the day, fight is fighting. That's it. You know what I mean? So, I guess there's situations that could be intimidated, but that's a different story. But I don't think they're scared. No. Will Liam Power get the IBF belt at 147? I don't think so.
Who's that? Crocker, isn't it? I think he's got to get past Paddy Donovan first.
Well, actually, look, Boots moved up. Vergil's gone. I'm not that impressed with Mario Barrios, to be honest with you. Ryan Garcia, I don't care, is very beatable by anybody. Ryan is hot and cold. Yeah, so maybe. Like, Power might actually... He has a shot to win a belt for sure.
Well, he's got Paddy Donovan, I think, in January. That looks like it might be on the Zerafa and Tszyu card, unless Eddie wins the purse bid, will go to Ireland. But if he does get past that, then he'll have Lewis Crocker. So 2 winnable fights. I actually think Donovan's the harder fight than Crocker. So if he gets past Donovan, I think he can well and truly beat Crocker for that IBF belt. But it'll be tough if he has to go to Ireland or England or wherever it's gonna have to be. But yeah, look, I'll be honest, Liam Power, I think it's a great talent. I've always been a fan of his, but I must admit I was a little concerned about the last fight he had. He really was against David Papo. He really struggled in that fight. It didn't fill me with a lot of confidence that he's going to be able to do what he did at 140. Let's just hope it was his first fight at 147. And, he has to grow into his body a little bit more and get used to fighting bigger men. Let's just put it down to that. But he didn't fill me with a lot of confidence based on that performance that he can win world titles at 147.
Yeah, well, look, he's a really good fighter. We'll see. But yeah, the more I'm thinking about it, with 4 belts, with some of those guys being very beatable, yeah, like there's a pathway for Liam Paro, especially if it has the backing of No Limit, which is half of the battle having the backing, right? So I think he can. He's in a mix. I'll put it that way, right?
Yeah, if he gets
Definitely
past
not gonna,
Donovan, massive chance.
yeah, 100%. You know, so we can't really count him out, and I'm sure he would rather it be promoted by No Limit. So it's in Australia and all that. So I don't know how it would happen the other way around, but if Matchroom gets the fight, so I want to show you this a fighter that's been kind of growing on me is Brian Norman. Okay, I've been a fan of Brian Norman, period. You know, but he just has an old school grind. I'm here to fight. Who am I fighting mentality, right? That's how he is. Not the biggest fan of his dad, although that seems to be a common theme nowadays with boxers. But I don't want to take it out on him how I feel about his dad. I think his dad does a lot of talking, and he's not the one fighting, but whatever, right? But something has happened to the ring, Lyndon, like in the last few months, that there's some things they're doing better, but there's other things like their journalistic integrity, if I may say, is kind of and they're asking just quite frankly stupid questions. And I'm so glad that Brian Norman has literally just called them out on it. Now they're still using it for you know, they're still using it, but I really liked these answers because honestly, there's stupid questions to be asking fighters, right? And this is one of them right here.
Jerron Boots Ennis, Teofimo Lopez, Demario Barrios. Which one are you going to fight against? Which one are you going to train with? And which one are you going to be friends with?
I ain't trying to be friends with neither one of them. I can't answer these questions how you want. Let me fight all of them.
I mean, how great is that, right? They're asking fighters, and they're like, who do you want to fight? Who do you want to train with? And who do you want to be friends with? Who do you want to have a milkshake with? You know, like out of all these guys, and there's another one, all right, that we'll show right here that's even worse. Which is this one, right?
Okay, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
It's 4. It was 4 of them. You recording? See, now this is what's wrong with the box again. We talking about fighting. He's over here showing me some fashion outfits, man. I don't care about what this man. Look at me, man. I got a $5 tee. You know what I'm saying? The world is yours. Pants, got some forces on. That's all you need, man. I'm telling y'all, the boxing game talk. We over here talking about fashion. Talk about fashion, man. We talking about fashion. Y'all seen these outfits? Come and rate them things, man. I ain't finna rate no outfits, man. I don't care about no outfit, brother. I'm here to throw hands, and that's it.
Like what? They literally wanted him. They wanted him to roast Devin Haney, what Devin Haney was wearing. But that's what they wanted him to talk about, right?
I love that attitude, don't you?
100%. You know, and I think that's great. Like, just shut down those stupid questions. The way I see it.
I think, and it's not just the ring. I mean, you've read a lot of articles online on these online websites, the Boxing 24 News or whatever it is, and the ring, and all these different websites that you look at. A lot of the stories you're just reading, you go, "What are you talking about?" It just doesn't make sense. And I love his response to the reporter there saying, "What are you asking me? Ask me about my training camp. Ask me about what I'm going to do in the fight." I mean, I don't know. I remember reading about boxing since I've been 10 years old. And I just remember the articles making sense. These days, they just don't make sense. And maybe because there's too many reporters around these days or whatever it might be, or you can tell a lot of these guys haven't been boxers. I think that's probably the main thing it shows. That these guys are just fanboys with a microphone. So maybe they need to scope it out a little bit more. But I love the fact that he just said, come on, let's get real about it. What are we talking about? Fashion here? Love Brian Norman's attitude. And I can't wait to see him, hopefully, on Devin Haney out. You know, when is it? A couple of weeks away.
Yeah, it's not that far. I think they're already in Riyadh. Is it this weekend or next weekend?
22nd, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that far away actually. And I got to tell you, I think it's like I just don't see how Devin Haney wins this fight.
It's gonna be tough.
I think Norman and I've been surprised for a while how the bookies keep getting Norman wrong. I've won a lot of money with Brian Norman fights. And they had him a 4-1 underdog in Santian. I thought they were crazy. I thought that was taking money from the baby.
Wow.
Yeah, like I knew he was going to beat him up, and that's what happened. Like, you know, but now Devin, to his credit, you know, is quick. He's crafty, and if he gets in a rhythm in the fight, and he could run away with it with a decision victory. Obviously, I'm not going to completely count him out, but I don't know. I just think Brian Norman has enough boxing IQ, enough power to really hurt Devin Haney. I just don't think Haney's going to be able to take those punches for 12 rounds. I don't.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he comes in at a big solid 147. That's probably the one reason I give him a chance. I think boxing wise, like he's such a great boxer, Devin Haney, but he fights scared. And this might be to his detriment against Norman, because Norman can obviously bang because of good skills. Is a big solid 147 pounder. So I think Devin Haney, if he actually probably believed in himself a little bit more, if that makes sense. He's a 2-time world champion, or in 2 weights, but as I said, he fights scared and he never sort of backs himself to really put it on these guys. And I think what he should do is go and look at Shakur Stevenson's last fight. He was criticized for the same thing, and he actually backed himself and actually outfought Zepeda. And I think that Devin Haney could be that similar type of fighter. Maybe Norman's not the type of guy to do that against because he can bang so hard, but I think Devin Haney can win the fight. But if I had to pick one or the other right now, I'm probably just leaning towards Haney just being Norman being the big established 147 pounder.
Somebody said Devin's getting huge. We'll use that extra muscle to help him clinch. I'm just going to say this one time to you guys. Norman's not the guy you want to try to clinch. He just isn't. I see Norman, you know, like when he fought Quinton Randall and people were favoring Randall in that fight. He just ragdolled him. Every time Randall tried to hold him, he ragdolled him, pushed him against the rope. He's a strong welterweight. He's got that country strength, and Haney's not going to be able to get away with that the way he did with the lightweights. He just isn't, right? And I gotta tell you, like, I think all that muscle is going to slow him down, but we'll see. Look, obviously. He's a former undisputed champion in lightweight. You can't count him out, obviously, but we'll see. You know, and is that? I think we saw it in the Ramirez fight that all those knockdowns and times he got hurt, like they're in his head from the Ryan Garcia fight. So, and
you don't want to go into a fight with Norman being a little bit gun shy, do you? Because he's the type of guy that's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah. It's gonna be something. I'll be impressed with Haney if he wins the fight. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Vergil Ortiz. I mean, I didn't rule out the early knockout stoppage, but I kind of, my official prediction was like middle to late round stoppage. I thought Vergil would break him down, go to the body. I thought the body shots were going to slow down Lubin. I thought Lubin would win a round or two, but that did not happen. I thought both had a pretty slow first round, but I thought Vergil won it, and then Vergil just went to work. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm interested to know what you think, Lyndon. Like, from what I saw, it didn't even look like Ortiz was looking for the knockout. I just think it came. I just think it just came, and obviously when he hurt him, he put him away. But that's just the way Vergil fights. He's just a smooth operator, and once he had him hurt, he put him out, and that was it. But I can't even find really like what I want to ask you is, what did Lubin do wrong? Because I don't really see what he did wrong. I thought he was trying to weather the storm, and then it was over. Is what I saw.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Ortiz was actually looking for the knockout right there and then. I think, and it happened so quickly, didn't it? It was like all of a sudden it's a little bit of tit for tat, and then all of a sudden it's just over. But I think the first round, I'm with you, it was uneventful. I don't think much happened. Well, that happens in big fights. You know, both guys want to have a look at each other. They both started pretty quick without either one of them sort of taking any risk. But I just think in the second round, you asked what Lubin did wrong. I think the fact that he just sat on the ropes. I don't know what he was thinking to think that sitting on the ropes with no real method to what he was doing, just having his hands up and just waiting for Ortiz to unload. I think what he should have done is give Ortiz some angles. I mean, maybe when he got caught on the ropes to maybe clinch, but also just pivot off one side, pivot off to the other. Just give him some angles, just to give Ortiz something to think about for 4 or 5 rounds. And he didn't do it. I'm with you. I thought he might have got the later round stoppage. I think I ended up picking that maybe it could go the scorecards, but I did think that Ortiz was capable of getting him out of there. But I mean, Erickson Lubin just fought a dumb fight. They sit on the ropes, and you would have seen there that Ortiz was pulling the gloves down and coming over with uppercuts and hooks and all this sort of stuff. He just put himself in harm's way, and without any method to his madness. He just stood there on the ropes, didn't try and tie him up, didn't try and negate him, didn't try and set any traps, just stood there with his hands up and just waited for Ortiz to iron him out. And the thing is, what was surprising is that, because when he first stopped the fight, the referee, I thought, geez, that was a little bit quick. But obviously, looking at the replay, he was really hurt. Yeah. But it was almost, it escalated really quick, as they say. It went from just him on the ropes and just throwing a feud, all of a sudden, all right, well, this is my chance to get him out of there. And it was all over in about 5 or 6 seconds, wasn't it? But I was surprised at Lubin, his lack of game plan, his lack of IQ, and he probably got what he deserved in the end.
I think, because one thing I noticed was, like, Vergil, he was going to the body, and I was expecting him to really rip to the body. I thought he was going to start like really ripping the body to wear him down. But what I noticed was he wasn't throwing that hard to the body, right? Like, he just wasn't. So I don't know if that was to give like Lubin some confidence, like, well, those body shots aren't that bad, or to make him lower his guard. And but I thought Vergil did a good job, like with his jab and just cutting off the ring. And I just don't see any way Lubin would have won this fight. If Lubin would have pressed more, I think he would have gotten knocked out sooner, right? If Lubin would have been like, I just think he was like a trapped animal. I don't think he had anywhere to go. That's what I think happened, and he just didn't quite know what to do. But I was really impressed with the poise of Vergil and taking him out like so quickly like that. I'm with you. When they stopped the fight, the first thing I said was, "Oh man, another controversial stoppage. Here we go." But when you look at it, though, like really good, like that ref like stopped it right on time.
Yep.
It looked like when a parent like picks up their child, like, and they're like limp. That's how Lubin looked. They just looked limp, and the ref's like trying to hold him. Like he was out. Like it's crazy how quickly that happened. And I actually
from 0 to 10, didn't it? Really quick.
Yeah, I still I think he was out, and Vergil actually still landed like 2 punches. It just happened so fast while the ref was in the process of stopping the fight. And that's all she wrote. And to do that to a top 10 junior middleweight in the world in that way, in that fashion, Lubin was in a little bit of a winning streak. Yes, Lubin had lost before against Jermel, like I think it was like a first round stoppage, and against Fundora in a war, right, where he dropped Fundora, but Fundora ended up just dropping him and really messing up his face. So really good, impressive victory by Vergil. He calls Boots to the ring. Look, there's no doubt in my mind that the fighters want this fight at all. Like I'm sure that they're looking across from each other saying, "No, I'm the best. You're not the best. I'm the best," right? And I do believe both guys when they say, "I'm going to beat him," right? I think they believe they could win that fight. But Lyndon, I don't think we're going to get that fight next. All the signs are there.
Yeah, and I'm not against that, to be honest. I think I don't mind waiting another 6 to 12 months, or probably more like 12 months, because I just think this is a fight that needs a little bit more time to breathe. And yes, I would love them to fight next, and that'd be great. But I think if they're going to maximize this as a true sort of, well, I won't call it a super fight, but a really, really big fight of our generation, I think the correct timeline would be for Ortiz to fight Fundora next. I know Fundora's got Thurman in January or February, whatever it is, but to fight Fundora next, if he can win the WBC belt, let Boots Ennis maybe fight someone of note. It could even be Murtazalia or someone like that. Who knows? But then they fight for at least one world title later in the year. And as I said, I'd love from the fight next. I just don't think the timing's right. And I think even though you listen to Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya, I just, especially from Oscar, I just get the feeling that while they're talking it up a lot, I don't think they would be too stressed if it just waited a little bit longer as well. So I think the biggest competition that fight is Eddie versus Oscar, really. Who loves their fighter the most, I think.
Yeah.
I think they both have dreams about both of those fighters when they're alone, I reckon. Both of those guys, they just love them, don't they?
Look, if they make the fight, I'm not going to complain. Right? I'll just say that. But we already have Vergil Ortiz's manager coming out suggesting other fights. It's already a red flag. More than likely that fight's not going to happen. Timothy, I appreciate the support, brother. Much appreciated. And then the manager, speaking of him, telling Eddie, there's not 7 zeros. Don't even call us. Don't even contact us. Well, it's already a non-starter. Like you want 10 million plus, like just like that, like right off the bat. Like what's going on right now, right? That's a lot of money to be demanding, quite frankly, right? And I'm not sure, as much as I like Vergil's probably my favorite fighter right now, but I'm not sure like he generates that type of money, right? But okay, what's Boots wants to get paid too. So if Vergil wants 10 million, well, Boots gonna want at least 10 million too. Like, so it's gonna cost 20 million to make the fight. Like, good luck with that. They're gonna make maybe, you're gonna get what, a $2-3 million gate, and then like, where are you gonna make the rest of the money? Like, what's like the math isn't mathing. In other words, now they probably think Turkey Al Sheikh and the Saudis will come in and they'll pay for it. Maybe they will, right? But that's where we're at. And another reason I don't think the fight's gonna happen is, and why I don't think it has anything to do with the fighters. It's what, like, if you put yourself, and I don't really like doing this. I like to be a fan, but we kind of have to, right? If you put yourself in Oscar's shoes and Eddie's shoes, right? There's so many other fights where they can make millions of dollars, and they're a lot more winnable. There's just like, these are the two best fighters in the division. You got other guys walking around with title belts that they can fight, and they're going to make a lot of money, and they're a lot more beatable. And I think that's where we're going, quite frankly, right? And for Boots, I mean, really, you're going to go from a tune-up to now you want to fight the best in the division, in my opinion. I mean, that's a big jump, I don't know, but.
Yeah, it is. And I think someone said before that JC there said, Oscar said we hold all the cards. The problem is Eddie Hearn saying that they hold all the cards. So that's going to be another problem. Who holds the cards? Who's the A side? And I just hope this fight doesn't get bogged down with all the who's going to be the A side and who's first on the poster and who gets paid more and all this sort of crap. And I also think it's a little bit disturbing that we said about relying on Turkey Al Sheikh. I mean, this is the problem with what he's done. He's done some really good things as well, but now the value of these fights has gone up and up and up. So these fighters and promoters and everyone else think that fights are worth more than probably what they are. This is not a $20 million fight. It's a great fight. We all want it, but it's not a $20 million fight unless.
And that's the minimum, by the way. That's the minimum, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Minimum. That's right. Minimum. Yep. So
because
this is
Booth says I'm the A side, so if he's making 10 million, I want 12 million. Like what are we doing?
And then Oscar steps in, and then it's just a shit fight going back and forth. So this is look, that's probably nothing new to the sport of boxing, but unfortunately, with what Turkey Al Sheikh's done with a lot of these big cards with the big name fighters, it's just probably made a lot of these fighters think they may be a little bit worth a little bit more than what they are. And at the end of the day, you can only pay the fighters what the fights generate. And if Turkey Al Sheikh's not behind it, and this is another obviously worry as well, that we're just relying on Turkey Al Sheikh to be able to produce these big fights and big numbers. It's not a good position to be in, but that's where we're at. But either way, as I said, I can't wait for the fight, but I'm just not sure whether I'm with you whether it will actually happen next.
I mean, how I just don't understand like what the long-term plan with Turkey Al Sheikh is here. Like you are enabling Like, I'll be honest with you, Lynn, if I was a fighter at that level, I'll be doing the same thing, right? I want $10 million because Turkey's going to pay me that money, right? So I'm not even mad at, like, look, I'm not even mad at the fighters for doing it. Like,
No,
I
not
get
at
it,
all.
right? I don't blame them. Like I'm not going to get mad at somebody for doing the same thing I would do, right? But, we got to call out the people in suits with the suits. We got to call out the ones that are enabling this behavior. This is the culture you're creating. And a lot of these fighters are completely bypassing the promoters, giving them the middle finger, and then Turki Al-Sheikh ends up rewarding that behavior, right? It just is what it is, so it's going to be interesting.
And it's going to get worse because you look at even the Canelo Alvarez situation. $150 million apparently got paid for that last fight. No fighter is worth as much as they sacrifice and much as they produce. No fighter, not even Canelo Alvarez, is worth $150 million. It is just crazy. So, and unfortunately, that is now the bar.
In order to say you're worth that, well, let me just say this. I'll slightly disagree with you, right? I agree with you 99%. But there has been an exception, which was Pacquiao Mayweather, right?
Yeah.
Those guys made a lot of money, but guess what? They sold 4.5 million pay-per-views.
Exactly.
Right? Like they had something to show for it. Like, you know what I mean? So Mayweather, Crawford were not going to sell 4 million pay-per-view buys. So
but they did it the right way though, D-Style, because what they did was with the contracts is that they were guaranteed a certain amount, but then it was all based on pay-per-view. Canelo was guaranteed that money. Yeah. So that's the difference. That's what that should be about. Okay, we'll give you a X amount of dollars, but I know Netflix, of course, it was free and it would have been a lot more complicated. But to guarantee someone $150 million without having to sell one pay-per-view is just nuts. Ooh. At least Mayweather and Pacquiao, as they should have, got a massive payday because they delivered. The same as Mayweather and McGregor and Mayweather and De La Hoya and all of Tyson Holyfield, all those big events of yesteryear, they deserve that money. Canelo, there's no way that Canelo Alvarez or anyone else, based on no pay-per-views, is worth $150 million, and he probably would have fought for half of that, really, let's face it. So imagine what could have been done with the remainder of that money. If you had given Canelo 75 and Crawford 25, it would have been a great payday. They would have had $100 million to put into some other things in the sport, and they chose to give one fighter $150 million guaranteed. I just don't see the sense in it.
100%. One last thing I wanted to kind of say is this about this is I'll repeat, I want Vergil to fight Boots. I do. I just don't think it's going to happen. And the reason I don't think it's going to happen, believe me, guys, not because I don't want it to happen. It's because the dudes in the suits have a lot of money to make with those two guys before they throw them in there with each other. It just is what it is. Like we don't got to like it, right? But that's where it is. Unless someone can subsidize that and say, I will pay for your loss in investment, and that'll be Turkey. I'll pay them the $10 million each or whatever they think they're worth. That's the only way that fight's going to happen. Like, I'm just going to put that out there. And it might happen because Lyndon, the zone, I don't know if this is impacting Australia at all, by the way, but the UK and the US, I know for sure, they now have a second tier, right? They want, they want us to pay some upfront money for a guaranteed 12 pay-per-views. Like, are you shitting me right now? Like, and they want, I think it's like $400 and something, right? And like, which is nuts. Like, I don't even know what you're going to give me. Like, you were just giving us the Parker fight on pay-per-view. Like are those the type of fights we're going to get on pay-per-view? They're going to put
Chisora and White as well. I mean, come on.
When you have like Netflix is going to be putting on some boxing, Paramount's going to be putting on some boxing. I'm sure eventually Top Rank will get some deal. They're going to have some boxing. So like, you're telling me right now that you want to charge that much, and you want us to pay up front, and you want us to fork out this money and just trust. Like when shout out to Steve Kim, friend of the show, but he pointed this out. Even in HBO's heyday, when they had like Oscar De La Hoya and Mike Tyson or Lennox Lewis and Trinidad and all that, they had like 8 pay-per-views. Like, just think about that.
Yep.
When they had all these mega stars, and not
Who
even
fought
they,
regularly, by the way. Who fought more than once a year, by the way.
who fought regularly. Not even they had the goal to pull out 12 pay-per-views in our face and charge extra, like an extra tier or whatever, right? Although they would charge for the pay-per-view, but the point is, no, I don't trust this. I don't trust you, bro. Like I don't think you guys got 12 mega fights in you like that. I don't see it.
So what is it? So I did read the other day. Is it $45 a month, or
Yes.
or then it's $445 a year? I think it was.
Yeah, that's for the year for sure. Yes.
That includes pay-per-views and everything, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's a lot of money to fork out, isn't it? And then you've got on top of that Netflix, Amazon, Paramount, all these different streaming apps. If you've got UFC, and I'm pretty sure over there, don't you do it with the football and basketball and all that sort of stuff as well? It's a lot of money. All of a sudden, everything sort of was free. Of course, you'd have the big pay-per-view events that you'd have to pay for. But now it seems like you got to have some sort of app and subscription to every single thing you want to watch. I mean, where does it end?
Look, anyone who's going to pay the year, slap yourself. I'm sorry. Like I'm going to tell you guys, don't do it. Don't do it. Like you're not going to get 12 premier pay-per-view event. You're just not going to get it, right? Even now, like they wouldn't even give us a Parker fight with a regular subscription when their subscription is more expensive than all the other streaming. So they're more expensive than all of them already, right? And I'll tell you when, like, and I never did it. Like I knew people that had the year subscription when it was only like $120, right? And when COVID happened, they had like no boxing, like for a month and a half, no boxing, right? They didn't refund people for that month. They didn't do any of that, right? They still kept the same price they were charging you the whole year, right? Like it's insane to me.
Yeah.
Like, do not like I would never tell somebody what to do. You do whatever you want. I strongly advise, do not pay the year up front to the zone, right? You're gonna get like some crap. You're gonna get Chisora, right, in February as your pay-per-view headliner. You know what I mean? Like that's what you're gonna get. Okay, there we go. We delivered. That's the minimum. Like, what are we doing? Right.
And what do they really classify as a pay-per-view worthy fight? They say we're giving you 12 pay-per-views, but they could say, well, like they're doing with Chisora and White. Now that is a pay-per-view. I mean, come on, that is ridiculous. I'm not sure exactly what's happening with Australia at the moment. I'm pretty certain it'll be along the same lines. We pay at the moment, I think, $30 Australian per month. I think it's $140 a year or something. But of course, that will blow out. But even the Jai Pattaya fight is now on Stan, which is yet another app that you have to subscribe to here in Australia. So all of a sudden,
what are we paying? So, like, I have the zone, right? So I'm paying the zone, and I'm not going to get Pattaya?
Nope, you won't get it. Nope.
But then they want me to fork out more money for 12 extra pay-per-views. Like, they see, like, this is a scam they're running. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but it is.
And at what point, though, do they say you've paid your yearly fee, but we get a new sick Fury type of fight or Canelo Crawford type of fight comes along and they go, well, this is a little bit, we might need a little bit extra out here because this is a massive fight that's bigger than all those other pay-per-views. So we're going to still need you to charge $40 or $50 just for this one off.
Why is Pattaya in another app? Like I'm trying, like, what are we doing?
I think what it is with the Pattaya fight, speaking to Mick Francis, his promoter, is that the zone don't chip in at all. They don't put in 1 cent into the production. So they're happy to stream the event, but they do not give 1 cent as far as paying for all the production of the event. And it's obviously not cheap. So I think that's what happened with the Pattaya fight. And now I don't know what happens. Obviously Stan have come to the party in somewhat, but that's why we had the fight on Friday night here in Australia on DAZN, because Sam LeBruna fight night would have happily paid for the production and
do you know how, like, just listening to that, how infuriating that is, because how much they charge for the service. Like you don't take care of that.
1 cent in. Yep.
Like I still remember, like my friend Christine, when she talked about, like, when one of her fighters was fighting on the MVP card on Netflix and how great Netflix was, involved with the production and like, what the hell are we doing? What are you doing with all this money? And then here's the other thing, right? I love being American and all that, but like, you guys got to tell us that we got to pay more than everybody else. Like they just put it in front of our face. Like, yeah, you guys are going to pay more than dudes in the UK. You're going to pay more than dudes in Australia because you're American. Like, you know, what I mean,
Yep.
like what?
Biggest market in the world. We may as well just double dip and get a little bit more money out of you. And England will probably be similar.
This isn't the old days when like we had no idea what people paid for Sky in the UK. Like you're literally putting it in our face in the same graphic what we're paying, and it's like, why can't we just pay what the UK's paying? Like, you know, what do we do? And then to make matters worse, we pay more, but then like the UK fights are on pay-per-view. Like what?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I just don't. Like, you know what I mean? So I stand. That's the name of the app.
Yeah, it's not good. And as I said, when does it end? I mean, it used to be really nice and clear cut about you pay your cable, or I think you call it over there, and we're our pay TV here, and then you pay your pay-per-views, and it's all good. But now everything seems to be on an app, and you got to pay for the apps, and that's. I mean, at what point does the average person out there just simply can't afford to put these on? And the thing is, like you said with Netflix, at least. So obviously the way it works is all the subscription money comes into someone like Netflix, and they go, okay, we're going to allocate X amount of dollars for movies and X amount of for streaming, not for streaming services, for documentaries and for miniseries and sporting events. So you know where it's going. They're actually using the money to put in certain categories. What are DAZN doing? You know, they're happily those. I just said then about Mick Francis and Tasman fighters leaving because they did not get 1 cent for production. So they're happily to take our subscription money and don't invest any of it back into the actual events.
But I thought like Matchroom had a co-promote.
They might be a bit different. Those real big type of events might be a bit different, but
but I thought Matchroom was promoting Jai as well.
Co-promoter, yeah. Co-promoter, yeah.
You know, like I don't know what's going on. And then we had Inouye on Facebook. Like okay. You know, like this is where we're at. And by the way, does Boots beat Vergil? I think it's a 50-50 fight. I got Vergil though, personally.
Geez, that's a tough question. I'm gonna back Vergil. Yep, Vergil.
I do think though that fight has like a little bit of like that Chavez Maldictator feel. I'm not saying it'll be the same result, but it has that type of feel to it. It really does. But that was a unification title fight, by the way. So
yeah,
I think we need the board of governors to vote on just elevating Victor Ortiz as WBC champion. They can fight for the belt. You know what I mean? Like maybe we just do that. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But hey, by the way, Lyndon, like you've been following boxing your whole life. Do you know how somebody becomes part of the board of governors in the WBC?
I got no idea. No, I'm gathering it's by just knowing the right person.
Because Marijan Surma claims that everything he does it through the board of governors, right? They vote unanimously every time. They never disagree with him, by the way. But it is what it is. So I'm just curious, you know what I mean? So
I've got no idea.
Hey, we kind of talked about a lot of stuff here, but any last thoughts before I wrap this one out?
I wanted your opinion on what you thought of the WBO and IBF actually joining forces for the convention next year. So is this the first step of all the 4 sanctioning bodies all getting together to try and fight what's happening with Dana White and TKO? Because that's something I never thought I would ever see, is a joint convention together.
Look, what I'll say is I don't know a lot about that, but just from what I gathered from what he said, what I will say is this, right? There's a lot of misinformation that's been put out there, and a lot of I like to say fear mongering by a lot of the sanctioning bodies and even promoters like De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn, and all of a sudden everything's good. Like they've been hating each other for years, that they've been complaining about the sanctioning bodies for years, but now they all love each other. They hold hands, they sing Kumbaya, like all that good stuff, right? Do better is my message to them. The sanctioning, the rankings are a joke. We don't even know why somebody's ranked, why somebody's not ranked. You do show favoritism to fighters that have big promotional, signings over others, and the sanctioning bodies, their whole point, the only reason they exist is to look out for the little guy, to look out for the fighters that earn their shots but don't necessarily have the big backing, but you force those guys to either fight or get stripped. And they have failed spectacularly at doing that for the most part, in my opinion. Just improve that, and there's a reason you're so unpopular with boxing fans, and there's a reason why people don't trust you. Stop giving away belts like they're candy at a candy store, right? It's like it seems to me that it was just Halloween. Like fighters just say trick or treat, and they hand out belts, right? Fighters are being elevated all the time. What are you going to do to address that? Well, what are you going to do to address the fact that more than ever fighters are fighting after losses, right? Like they want me, that they're saying squirrel. They want me to focus on some potential league that might be formed that's not going to impact their sanctioning organizations at all, by the way, right? They want me to be focused on that while they do things like try to give Ryan Garcia a title shot when he just came off a loss.
Ridiculous.
So fix, like you have issues you need to fix before you worry about Dana White and what he's going to do. Right? Like that's how I feel about it. Like, so what? So Dana White isn't going to recognize your sanctioned bodies. He's going to have his own league. Okay. Like if you do what you need to do and the promoters do what they need to do, nothing's really going to change. It's going to be like another league with maybe B-level fighters, and you won't be impacted that much because, like, you know what I mean? So, but for whatever reason, they're feeling some type of way. But what I will say, Lyndon, is this: too many fighters around the world are just waiting to get fights, just waiting for opportunities, right? And Dana White came out and said that TKO's going to sign like 300 fighters or something like that, right? And give them a guaranteed schedule, have them on Paramount TV and all that. And Oscar's best response was to mock that and say, well, who are going to be these fighters he's going to sign? Obviously, it's not going to be good ones, right? That's his response to that, right? To me, I look at 300 fighters getting signed and being able to, provide for their families is a good thing to me. It's not a bad thing, right? So those are my overall thoughts.
Good. Yep. No, I agree.
So with that said, them joining forces, join forces. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, all right, guys, we are out of here. Peace.
Thanks, mate. See you next time.